Hi guys, it's Mrs. Davis again. This video is for 5th and 6th grade art classes. Today we get to do a very cool project with, as you can see behind me, we had a lot of Mardi Gras beads donated to us. And the project we're going to do with them is to make a sunflower. It is spring, so it's sunflower time. So we're going to start out by sketching the sunflower onto the cardboard that's in your kit, and then we'll use our watercolors to paint the background. And then we'll put the beads on top of the watercolor painted background. So let's get started. Okay, 5th and 6th grade. For this project, you're going to need a ruler of some kind and a pencil, the board that came in your kit, and your watercolors, and of course a vessel to put water in and a paper towel of some kind. Okay, to start out with, we're going to soften the colors we're going to use. And then while they are softening, we'll sketch our sunflower. So remember about softening your colors, you always start with the lightest color that you're going to use, and just lay some water, some clean water from your water can, just lay it in there. Remember, we don't stir or dig at it, just lay some water in there. Wash your brush real thoroughly, and then go to your next color. So we're going to use yellow, and we're going to use green, which is darker than yellow. We always start with the lightest colors and go to the darkest. And then we are also going to use black, which of course is the very darkest of colors. And you don't need to put a lot of water in the black because we want it pretty dense. Okay, while that's softening, we're going to do this sketch on your board that came in your kit. Okay, the proportions for the sunflower are pretty important. The sides of it, we need to go up about 2 3/4 inches from the corner here. And some rulers have a line here for 0 and some of them do not. So make sure that you put it on the line. It's critical that you make these measurements accurate or you're not going to have enough beads to cover the area. Okay, 2 3/4 inches on both sides. Like that, and my pencil just broke. Okay, I have another one. And then from here, you're going to draw an arch, just a very gentle, make sure it's nice and round. The thing about sketching back and forth like this is then you can go back and erase the lines that you don't like. There we go, we've got a pretty good arch there. Erase the lines that we don't like. And we've got the center of the sunflower finished. Okay, measuring from the corner to the top of this biggest petal is going to be right at 7 inches. You don't want it any bigger. Like I said, you won't have enough beads. So from the corner, and remember these videos are designed so that you can press pause anytime you need to. So you're going to put a reference dot out here, 7 here, out to there. And then the top one, the first petal, is at about 6 inches. So we'll put our ruler on 6 and put another reference dot here. Okay. The first petal kind of goes off the page like this. So here's our reference dot. We'll start here and just make an arch going up this way. Or you can start up here. It kind of comes to a point. Nice roundy little arch. Now this petal here, we're going to put that one behind the first one. So a nice arc coming down and then stop right there so it looks like it goes behind. A little point and then come on around like this. And then go back and erase the lines that you don't like. The third and fourth petals just kind of go clear off the page. We've got one coming out this way and then the side of it come down here a ways. And then here's the bottom one, about like that. Go back and erase the lines you don't like. Change your shape of it. I want to make this a little bit more pointed, like those petals are. There we go. And that is sketched. After that, we are going to, oh, I did a bad thing. Remember to not leave your paintbrush in the water because it gives him a bad hair day. So make sure you don't do that. We're going to get some yellow paint. Fill your brush with water, go to your yellow, and just barely touch in there. Remember, don't just stir or dig at it. And we're going to kind of blop it on there. See how we call this a mottly background. Mottled, that means we've got lots of different colors, two different colors, green and yellow, and we got different values of those colors to make it a real interesting looking background. So we're going to lay in some yellow and kind of slop it in there. We're not being real precise because we're going to put the beads over it. But we are going to do several layers so your colors are nice and bright. Slopping in some yellow, go all the way around. Go back and get you some more water. All the way around your flower. There we go, like this. Now while this is still wet, we're going to go back and put some green in there. See how I'm just kind of using almost a pointillist technique here. You get the green spread all the way around, mixing in with the yellow. And the more blotches we have, the more fun it is. Go back and get some more water. We don't want it too dark to begin with. Oh, I got lots of green that time. Isn't that neat the way the watercolors kind of running together there? Okay, we're almost done with this stage of the background. That is just oh, we got this area down here I completely forgot. Lay in some green, clean my brush, and get some yellow and put in there. Okay, between areas here, now we're going to get ready to paint the sunflower itself. We don't want these colors running together, so I'm going to get out my hairdryer. You can pause the video and let yours dry by air, or you can get out a hairdryer. It's up to you. This is my brush, lay it on the What's important to have dry, gotta retrieve my supplies here, is what's touching the sunflower. This up here is still wet, but that doesn't really matter. So now we're gonna really clean our brush well. So we're gonna be using just yellow, and I forgot to have you put a little bit of water in your orange. We're gonna use just a touch of orange to give us some interesting color. Okay, while that's softening, you're gonna go back to your yellow and paint the sunflower, the whole thing yellow. Make sure that where you are connected with the green that is dry. Lay in a layer of yellow just like we did for our background. Don't worry about your lines, just paint right over them. I've got some drips here and there, but that happens with watercolor. It's not going to show up or make any difference. Okay, I've just about got the yellow laid in here. Get one more brush full and that ought to do it. Okay, yellow is done. While it's still wet, this is actually kind of dried over here, so I'm going to put some more water on it, a little bit more yellow. So when I put my orange in, we get the same kind of effect we did with the green, with the yellow and the green. Get a little bit of orange, not too much. Just kind of blop it around and blend it in with the yellow. You want it to be interesting looking, not all one solid color. Because then when you look at it behind your beads, see how the painting is showing behind the beads? That gives it another layer of depth, layer of interest. Okay, that ought to do it for that. The last area we're going to paint right now is going to be the middle of the sunflower. We're going to paint it black. Be careful you don't dribble black paint. And that should just take one coat. Okay, there's your black. Now we're going to glaze another layer of all of these colors on here. So I'm going to get out my hair dryer again, or you can pause the video and let yours dry by air. Oops, orange is running away from me. There we go. Okay, make sure your work is nice and dry, and we're going to glaze another layer of yellow and green, mostly yellow. So lay some more water in your yellow if you need to. And then don't brush too hard or you'll you'll disturb the layer underneath. Make our colors more vivid. Remember this, when you put a second layer on watercolor, it's called glazing, kind of like a glazed donut. And I'm accidentally taking a little bit of green back to my yellow. That's okay, we can clean that out as long as there's not too much. It's pretty easy to clean out. Okay, I'm finished with the yellow there. Wash your brush really good. Get most of the water off of it and just go ahead and lift out whatever color you've got in there that you don't like. Clean your brush. Now let's go and lay a little bit more green. Remember, you want variety in your background. You don't want it all to look the same. The more variety there is, the more interest there is. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm going to clean my brush really good, and we'll do a second layer of yellow and orange. Okay, got more water in my yellow. And once again, we're just kind of stippling it around. Being careful not to lift off any of our first coat. Kind of staying away from the edges. I didn't dry it between coats this time because I have a little bit of coverage. Just kind of staying away from the edges so we don't have green and orange running into each other. That wouldn't be any fun. A little bit down here. See how it's already brightening up? Water in there, and then we'll put some few dots of orange, just a little bit of orange. I'm just barely putting my brush in there just to give us some variety. Okay, got that. Now let's put one more coat of the black on there so it's nice and black underneath. I got a dot right there, but that's not going to make any difference. If I don't like it, I can just lift it out with a clean brush. Okay, the black is now covered. Let me go ahead and show you how to lift most of that out. Clean your brush really good, get most of the water off of it. Just kind of do like that. Voila, black dot is gone. Okay, I'm going to dry this again, and then we're going to get started on putting the beads on. I forgot to tell you that you can use your school glue for this project, or if you have a hot melt glue gun handy, that's a little bit faster. Okay, we're dry enough to start. Now, see how my black beads are laid down in very, very nice little rows. If you've seen a sunflower, you've seen that the middle part of it is a nice little rows around. So we'll start out with just one bead in the very corner. Take your beads, pair of scissors, and just cut one bead to begin with. I hope this glue is going to work for me. There it comes. And remember, this kind of glue dries clear. Just lay your bead on there. And then the next row, in this sample here, I've got 3 on there. Let's see if that will work. It's kind of tricky to do your next row without just, yeah, 3 is going to work just dandy. So cut off 3 for your second row. Put a nice healthy row of glue along here so that it'll hold really well. Thankfully this does dry clear, so your black will shine through. Laying that on there and put it in kind of an arch. If you do have a hot melt glue gun, that's really much easier than the school glue. It looks like I'm going to have to crimp that a little bit to get it to stay put. Back to the hairdryer. I can put the hairdryer on low. Put it on low and it will help dry this glue so it'll stay put. There she blows. It's going to stay put. Okay, the next row looks like I've got 4 in it. It may be 4 or 5. Measure it first because you want to go right to the edge of your painting. Looks like 4 is going to do it. Some of you have different sizes of beads. They weren't, what was donated to us is not all the same size. So some of you have larger beads, and so your numbers of beads in each row will be different. So don't worry about that, just so that it basically covers it. Okay, that's how you do the black. When you get ready to do the gold, get this black out of the way here. You're going to do the outside edges first and then work toward the center. So starting like this, we're just going to put a row of beads up there. Figure out how many you're going to need and cut it off. And then once again, a nice healthy row of glue. You may need to do this in stages, like do some and then let it dry for a couple hours and then come back. That's the beauty of doing these projects at home, that you have that luxury. We don't have to wait a week between art classes. There we go, that one is done. The next one I'm going to do is going to be in the on the edge of this one. So let's see. Let's measure that. Looks like it's going to be about that many. Nice healthy row of glue. And I'm going to use the tail of my paintbrush to help push this around after I get it kind of in place. You don't want to go past your black. You should probably do all of your black first. Pull this guy up so we got a little bit of a point. And if you run into space difficulties, you can kind of scrunch them together. Okay, there we go. I'm going to use my hair dryer to dry that glue a little bit. This down here is pretty solid already. Because of the drying time, I'm going to go ahead and do the outside edges of all of my flowers, or all of my petals. and then we'll come back and do the inside after the glue has dried. So it looks like I need that many for this one. I'm not going to do this whole project here because I think you see the technique of how to do all of this, and there's some things I want to show you to do at the end. Lay your bead in there, right where you want it. Measure this one here. And another reason that we painted this before we put the beads on it is so that if you have spaces between your beads, it still looks just fine. See the painted background back there. Okay, I'm going to put this one on, and I'm going to show you something that you can do at the end if you wish. Kind of make sure you come to a point on these petals the best you can. Okay, that one's done. You can't really see it on here, but some of the beads, this one happens to have the string between the beads is nice and black. When I did this one here, the string between the beads was white, and it really showed up, and I didn't like that. So when I finished the project, I just took a small paintbrush and just take a little bit of this black watercolor and paint it on the white strings if you don't like it. It especially showed up on the edges. So you can do that at the end if you wish. This is a fun project. I had a big time making this sample for you, and it's always so cool when people donate such neat stuff that we can make beautiful artworks out of it. So there you go. God bless, stay inspired, and keep making art.